Mrs. Mina walked into the bank barely able to speak English, and the staff laughed at her. Just an old woman with broken words and a worn-out envelope, that's all they saw. But minutes later, the entire branch stood in silence. Because what she pulled out of that envelope changed everything. This isn't just a story about money, it's a story about dignity, legacy, and the price of underestimating someone who speaks quietly. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this message, because the world needs more stories where respect wins over judgment. It was a quiet Monday morning at a downtown bank, where suits and ties buzzed past glass counters, tapping on iPads and murmuring in low, formal tones. Among them walked an old woman, small, frail, and dressed in a worn-out cardigan. Her steps were slow, uncertain, and her eyes scanned the shining marble floor as if unsure she belonged. Her name was Mina, an immigrant grandmother, who had lived in the city for over 30 years but still spoke English with a heavy accent and limited vocabulary. She approached the front desk clutching a faded handbag, her wrinkled fingers nervously wrapped around a brown envelope. I want help, she said slowly. The young banker at the desk gave a tight smile and motioned for her to wait, barely listening. Moments later, a tall man in a crisp navy suit approached her, trying to rush the conversation along. Mina struggled to explain why she was there. My house, papers, money I need talk manager. The banker exchanged amused glances with his colleague nearby. One of them even chuckled under his breath. Ma'am, do you have an appointment? Mina blinked, confused. No, but important, she tried. You can't just walk in and expect to speak to a manager, the man said, voice sharp now. Others in line began to stare, and Mina looked down, humiliated. Her accent was thick, her grammar broken, and in that moment, nobody cared who she was or what she needed. Then a quiet voice from behind interrupted. Is there a problem here? A young woman in a simple black blazer stepped forward. She was a mid-level account manager named Sarah, and she had noticed the discomfort on Mina's face. The banker looked annoyed. She doesn't have an appointment. She's just confused. But Sarah ignored him and turned to the elderly woman. Ma'am, do you need help with something? You said something about papers. Mina nodded slowly and, with trembling hands, opened her envelope. Inside were worn but official-looking documents, property deeds, investment records, and a handwritten letter from a now-deceased bank executive. Sarah's eyes widened as she scanned the papers. These weren't just documents. They were evidence of long-held trust accounts, large savings, and years of unclaimed investment interest. Wait a minute, she whispered. Mina had not come to ask for help paying bills. She had come to claim what was rightfully hers. Within minutes, the tone inside the bank shifted completely. Sarah called the branch manager. Senior officials came down. The same bankers who had mocked Mina's accent were now standing in attention, offering her bottled water, asking if she needed a seat. The old woman who had once been dismissed was now treated like royalty. She hadn't needed fluent English to prove her worth, just the patience to endure, and the wisdom to keep every paper that mattered. As Sarah guided Mina to a private office, the other bankers watched in silence, uncomfortable with what they had just witnessed. One of them mumbled, I didn't know who she was. But that was the point. They never asked. Mina didn't wear wealth on her sleeves. She didn't speak with polish or power, but she had something far more powerful, patience, history, and undeniable proof. In that quiet office, Mina smiled gently at Sarah. You, good girl, you listen. Sarah smiled back, eyes soft. Sometimes all people need is to be heard. Later that afternoon, the story spread across the branch. The immigrant woman with broken English turned out to be one of the bank's oldest, most valuable clients, worth more than most of them combined. And from that day forward, everyone who worked there remembered, respect doesn't begin when someone speaks your language. It begins when you decide to listen anyway.